Hi children, welcome back. Today we're gonna start a new chapter, that is sorting materials into groups. Fourth chapter, sorting materials materials into groups. Okay, so here sorting, what is meant by sorting? Here sorting is nothing but separation. Sorting is nothing but separation. So here we need to separate the materials. We need to separate the materials into different groups. Here, what is the importance of separation? Before that, let us see actually the difference between an object and material. Difference between an object and a material. Generally we consider both as same, but not same here. For example, object is the actual thing. Object is the actual thing that we are touching, holding or using generally. For example, these are chalk pieces. These are chalk pieces that we are touching, holding, right, and using. So this is an object and this is the board. The board that we are touching and holding, these are objects. It is chalk piece and this is board. Like that, here actual thing is called as an object. Many objects are there around us. Okay, in Hindi we call object as vastu or cheese. Vastu or cheese. And as well as the material. Material is nothing but the matter by which the object is made up of, or the thing is made up of, right? So it is a matter, it is a substance. It is a substance. It is a substance by which an object is made up of. That is called, what do we call, material. For example, I have chalk pieces. Chalk piece is an object and it is made up of chalk powder, chalk dust, and we call it as calcium carbonate, okay, or calcium hydroxide. Calcium hydroxide is the substance and chalk piece is the material. Object. Have you understood? It is the blackboard. Board is an object. Board is an object and this board is made up of wood. Wood is the material and object is the board. Like that, for example, here it is the cloth. It is cloth. Cloth is an object and it is made up of cotton. Cotton is the material. Okay, book. Book is an object and it is made up of wood. Have you understood the difference between object and material? Right. So object is the actual thing, and whereas the material is the substance by which the object is made up of. So that is the difference between object and material. Okay. So here around us there are many objects are present. There are many objects are present. Uh, if you list out them, you could able to fill even a notes. A glass, pen, paper, shirts, door, cooler, fridge, bat, ball, pen, a basket, doormat, curtains, iron nails, glass pieces, glass vessels, toys, right, plants, animals, microbes. All these are objects that are present around us. right? So these objects should be get classified. Here my question is, why do we need classification? Why do we need? What happens if you don't classify them, right? For example, in your assembly, when you are going for the assembly in your school, imagine all the children, they are stood in zigzag manner. They are not in a line, they are zigzag, they mix it together. And if I ask you to identify the sixth class student from the group of that student, will you identify them easily? No, it become very hard to identify the sixth class students from the group. If I ask the students to stand as per their class line, then what happens? They are going to stand by their respective classes. Then if I ask you to identify the sixth class fellows, then can you identify or not? Yes, easily you can pick up the sixth class students. How it is possible? Because they are already stood in lines, they class wise they stood, means they are classified into classes. When they classified, it become very easy to identify the student. You can apply the same thing in case of a shopkeeper. In the shop, in his shop there are several materials. All these material, depending upon their similarity and difference, depending upon their similarity and difference, they are separated, they are classified, and they are arranged in groups: soaps, toothpaste, powders, cosmetics, dry fruits, right? And playing materials, gifts, and cooking material, oil, rice, sugar. He separates all these things. Why is maintaining them separately? Because if they mix it together, if they are in the form of mixture, it is very hard to find out the object that you want. But when you classify them easily, you can able to pick up the required material, and you can able to give good service, right? So particularly you can able to locate immediately. Okay na? So for this easy identification, he needs to make the materials or whatever the objects that is present in the shop. Okay na? So that's why he is classifying them or he is grouping them. So the sorting of objects into the group, with each group having their own characteristic properties, is called classification of object. Actually what he did here, he separated the material, and those material, whatever the group he formed, they show the similar characters. For example, if he separated chocolates and biscuits, biscuits have the separate characters, chocolates have the separate character. If we separate the pulses and rice, all rice varieties, maybe there are varieties but all are rice. And pulses, they are variety of pulses but all are pulses, means the same kind, similarity and the difference depending upon them. If we group them, it is called as classification of the object. What is that? Sorting or grouping, sorting of material, sorting of objects into groups, with each group is to have its own property. Okay na? It is called classification of objects, right? So here, uh, like shopkeeper that he classified, like in our school that we are getting classified, all these are example of classification. Actually here what happens, what is the advantage of classification? The classification of objects into groups make easier to locate them and work with them. We can identify them easily, we can locate them easily, and we can use up them easily. That is the first thing. And second thing is that the classification of objects into groups, they help in understanding them, their nature. Okay, these are liquids, these are solids, these are gases, like that. This is because if we know the property of any one member of the group, you can apply the same property to the all that. For example, soaps are base in nature. Then what we can say, all soaps, they are base in nature. Okay, very easy to identify. For example, if you maintain a if you study the property of a single organism in the group, for example, if you want to know the monocotyledon plant, if you study one monocotyledon plant property, you can applicable for the all group of the plants. So that is the advantage of classification. So we'll learn more about the classification, but here the main thing is that depending upon their similarities and differences, we can able to separate the material. Okay, so in further classes we'll see how do we can able to separate the objects, on what basis we can separate, and how to separate, how many types of materials are there, and how many types of things are there, how to separate them. We'll learn in next class. I hope you understood today's class. We'll meet in the next class now. Thank you.